Hi, I'm Hans Ruebel from the Toledo Museum of Art. I'm the 3D studio manager, and in this video I want to show you how Japanese swords are made. I'm going to demonstrate how they're made, and many people collect and admire Japanese swords and as a serious art form, and many believe that they are the ultimate type or form of a sword. Many stories and folklore have revolved around the Japanese sword, and much of this has to do with the very unique way that these swords are made. It makes them extremely sharp yet flexible, which is a very unique combination. Tamahagane is the rough iron steel material that traditional swords are made from. It is forge welded into bars, quenched in water, and broken into pieces. The swordsmith then sorts these pieces according to their carbon content. The swordsmith then arranges these pieces on a steel plate attached to a handle. Traditionally, this is covered by rice paper, burned rice straw, and a clay slurry to hold the bundle or billet together and prevent oxygen from burning the steel. This could be called a flux. The traditional swordsmith uses charcoal in a special forge with bellows. Because we use modern gas forges at the Museum of Art, I will be substituting modern steel strips. Strips of two different types of steel are alternately stacked together. I started with 5 layers. It's much like the wafers stacked together by the traditional smiths. This stack, or billet, is welded temporarily together. A handle is then welded to this billet. The billet is heated in the gas forge. The billet is fluxed and then heated to 2400 degrees. The flux protects the steel and keeps it from burning. The billet is hammered with the power hammer. The 5 layers are then forge welded by this process and become one piece of steel. Traditional smiths used sledgehammers. After the billet is stretched out lengthwise, it is partially cut. The billet is then folded over and brushed and fluxed again. With every fold, the layers are then doubled. The process of folding and welding was repeated 12 to 15 times by traditional swordsmiths. I ended up with the bar of steel with 200 layers. The bar is hammered by hand and then with a treadle hammer until it forms a U shape. This forms a hard jacket and edge of the sword. The Japanese called it kawagane. A soft steel bar called shingane is placed in the center of the jacket, or kawagane. This style of sword is called a kabuse and will make a sword with a very hard edge and sides and a flexible backbone. The steel is heated in the forge and welded together to form a long bar of steel. The handle is then removed. This bar is hammered into the basic form of a sword. This is called a sonobe, or a sword blank. The sonobe is hammered into the final shape of the sword. This is a very slow process. The smith must not overheat or work the steel too cold, or the steel is ruined. This sword is a Wakizashi. After the initial grinding and filing, a clay mixture is applied to the sword. Where the clay is thick on the back of the sword, the steel will be softer and more flexible. Where the clay is thin on the edge of the sword, it will be very hard and sharp. This unique heat treating process is called differential heat treating, or yakeiri. The sword is heated in a dimmed room so the smith can judge the color of the steel. Often heat treating was done at night. When it is just the right temperature, the sword is plunged into a quench tank. Quenching oil is used here. Traditional smiths used water. This is a very critical moment of the process. After the sword is cool enough to hold, it is wiped off and the clay is scraped off. The heat treating was successful. The sword is then polished and a hole is drilled into the tang for the handle. Japanese swordsmiths have been making swords in this manner for over 1,000 years.